I've been performing variations on this show since the early 70s. I'm a comic collector as well as a cartoonist, and I've always liked the odd stuff, but being a cartoonist, you tend to notice when people are intentionally trying to put stuff in, trying to get their editor's attention, and the editor often misses it. And today is going to be Oddball Superheroes. At the nighttime show, it's Oddball Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll.
Yes.
You might get a little of that in this show. I don't see any kids here, but I was kind of worried that I might do something too inappropriate, so I altered my my shows here. I do accept private showings.
One oddball to another.
That's right. That's right. But you know, being a cartoonist kid, I was just obsessed with this stuff, and even now I'll see comics that you go, how the fuck did this ever get published? I'm trying to get rid of a bunch of books. I've got hundreds of thousands of comic books. Yeah, try the other room, buddy. Fuck you. Hey, let's go to this room and yell.
Hey, that's tech chapter.
Oh, really? Uh-oh. Hey, come back, buddy. No. I don't need anybody but you. That's a shirt that I covet, by the way. Tomorrow's going to, by the way, I wished I could have made an announcement, but there wasn't anybody here to see it anyway except the guy speaking. Tomorrow morning I'm going to be doing Oddball Gorillas and Dinosaurs, because those are comics. We had a member of the family here, the Donenfeld family, and I don't know, I'm sure it was spoken about, but when I was a boy, this fellow Erwin Donenfeld was running DC, and he felt that any comic book with a dinosaur or gorilla on the cover would instantly sell. And for me, that absolutely was the case. So I assume that worked. There were a lot of boys in the late 1950s that were essentially had an unholy fascination with dinosaurs. And I was certainly one of those. I better get up here. This may be the best thing you see in the show. I broke my ankles 9 months ago, and it's gotten to this point, and I may break it again tonight. We may start over.
No, not allowed.
Okay, there you go. Now, if we're projecting, I can't be sitting in, well, maybe I could. Now I'm in the picture. Now it's really fucking Don't run out on me, folks. I'm putting all my hopes on this fine fellow here. No pressure at all. Let me see.
Let's douse the front course lights.
Well, the first part of this is always, is this damn thing going to come on, because this is so damn old. Please contribute to get Scott a new computer. Yeah, if we can spill some water on this time. This is not only for our tech's benefit here, but I should tell you guys, I'm like a chimp. I have absolutely no idea on how this is really done. I just do what somebody told me to do, and it all worked out. Oh, finally it's coming up here. Is there a show after this? Do you know?
No, not.
No, not in this room.
There is a setup session that begins at 6 o'clock. This room will be in use.
Okay.
Thank you very much. It is mine.
It's yours? Can I help you set up? Well, that'll smile like so for sure. See, please buy Scott a new computer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's.
Before 2002.
Yeah. Hey, I'm a cartoonist, not a bank.
That's my Scott PowerPoint. I did one on Saturday. And PowerPoint. The projector was fun. I'm going to do another one.
You'll have to forgive me, folks. I normally do this many times a year, but for the last 8 months I haven't done it at all. So now we see a little pinwheel going around. Let me tell you more about Oddball comics, I suppose. When I was a kid, I bought comics with dinosaurs, gorillas, Superman with a Martian's head, whatever. And the older I got and the more I saw stuff that I liked, I realized that this stuff isn't really make sense. And you really sometimes get to the point where you go, how did this get published? Well, I'm going to show you superheroes today that will take up the rest of the hour. And there we go. Oh boy. Jeepers.
Is that John?
That's John. That's my. I did a set of Oddball trading cards for Dennis Kitchen years ago, and my high school buddy John Pound, the guy that has done everything from psychedelic art to garbage pail kids, painted this for me based on my pencils. Here I am, big deal. Yep. That is one bright shirt.
Reminds me of a Grateful Dead.
My face?
Sure.
I look dead.
For sure.
Okay, yeah, okay, I'm going to show you little things. I did Captain Carrot. I did, I've done a lot of comic book stuff. Sonic the Hedgehog, Urban Gorilla, and Amusing Stories. See, I'm a cartoony cartoonist, the kind of stuff that none of you read. If you did, I wouldn't be sitting here in a shirt that's too big for me. Oh, I know what's coming next. It's a loaded thing that's, again, there's no problem here. It's just that the operator is incompetent. The fellow that did the other half, this fellow named Don Doherty, is now one of the story men at Disney, and he does the Frank and Ernest comic strip as well. These are all some of my characters I've done for comics. Go on now. Very slow computer too. I'm slow. Worked on Hanna-Barbera stuff. Sold lots of shitty cereal. Here's one of the giveaway posters I did for the cereal. My first printed comic myself.
Yes, Gory
The
Stories.
Turd from Gory Stories #1. I think this was 1972. This is an Oddball comic I did for Burger King. I put gorillas, dinosaurs, a giant baby, an Elvis riding a triceratops or a Tyrannosaurus. These are fun to do. I did a lot of stuff for Rhino. This was the year they did the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas movie. That's how I learned how to caricature. Did this for the Weird Tales of the Ramones. Worked for Bongo until I got a new editor. That's life, huh? Any of you remember Cap's Hobby Hints in the DC Comics? I brought him back in a Simpsons story here with Little Homer. And I was even part of the San Diego 5-string mod. And I think Will Lund is here, and Roger Friedman just left. Mike Towery, this is his show, so you essentially got 4/5 of the band here. Anyway, here the show starts. It finally is starting. You can finally come back from the bathroom, ladies and gentlemen. And this not only represents oddball superheroes, but look at Jack Kirby was the prime cartoonist in the history of comics, as far as I'm concerned. He created everything from superheroes to the romance comic. And this is a comic that apparently, when he was sitting around, said, what if Superman met Don Rickles? So at the top it says, this is not only how he sold the book, Jack Kirby, this is how I'm selling you this show. Kirby says, don't ask, just buy it. And again, it always gets a little weird with me. At the end you see it says, rushing toward the greatest climax ever seen in comics, which accounts for why these things are kept in plastic bags. They really... Okay, now DC, I grew up reading DC Comics first, and they loved doing stuff to the character that was humiliating. Apparently that's what kids wanted to see. So we have the future Superman, or as I like to call him, the penis-headed Superman there. We have the goofy Superman, who's a ripoff of Alfred E. Newman from Mad, long before Warner Brothers owned both Mad Magazine and DC Comics. The Lion of Steel. The masked Superman over there on the other side, the ugly Superman, the captive Superman for the kinky Kryptonian in you, and of course the worst possible thing, the ancient Superman. And if this was more realistic, Superman's comic would have been canceled because he was too old. Oh, there's the original publication of that penis head. In fact, look at this cover. He's incited penis shape. In fact, everything's excited, even those little bulbs there on the, oh, here's the Superman thing. I love this cover. Look at the way Krypto's looking up at him. It's just like a little old doggy would do. But again, it's like, this is pathetic. Superman's old. How dare you? I love this cover. Action Comics, right? Action Comics? There's no action on this cover at all. Superman's standing there with his mouth open, right? Lois, Lana, what are you doing with Hercules and Samson? We're on our way to the Marriage License Bureau. I'm going to become Mrs. Hercules, and I'm going to be Mrs. Samson. And the other thing about this, DC thought that, we've already written ourselves into a corner. So we're going to come up with something called imaginary stories. Now, I'm about 9 years old when I bought this comic, and I'm thinking, imaginary stories? The others aren't real stories, they're all imaginary stories. But they do stuff to Superman. And apparently the editor on this stuff would go and have little focus groups with the kids in his neighborhood. At least that's what he told the child authorities. And, he'd say, well, what would you like to see Superman do? So apparently more than one kid liked to say, I'd like to see Superman with an ant's head. Sexual metaphor? I think so. Supergirl's riding a giant penis while holding onto another one growing out of its head. I mean, yes, I know, not everything is a penis that's longer than it is wide, but, after a while, these things you go, that's not an accident. I love this cover. Superman turns yellow from fear, purple with rage, and red with embarrassment. Because women are touching him. Here, okay, let's make Superman young and old on the same cover. And again, this is a great action comic. The little boy Superman is doing great while our friend Superman has got a terrible headache. I love this one, From Riches to Rags. Superman in a top hat, like Cary Grant bopping a guy on the chin, and then he's at Superman's private shack over on the other. I like that he's got his shoes off, and it's like he's wearing like a crummy sock under it. It's super smelly, kids. Mort Weisinger was what I like to call, and many people, a starfucker. He was always trying to find celebrities to work into the comics. So, what do kids like more than Alan Funt, huh? This creepy guy photographing people that don't know they're on camera. My friend Neil Adams drew this cover, and there is nothing more appealing about a comic than Superman has Kryptonian leprosy. And here he's decaying right on the cover. Here's Superman as the president of Steel. No one that we know. For the 400th issue of Action Comics, what can we do for the cover? Let's make it really special. What if Superman screwed a gorilla and they had a son that was half human, half gorilla right down the center? That'll sell comics. And it did. I bought it. Okay, they say, hey, let's do Popeye meets. Well, we can't get King Features. They're a bunch of assholes. Let's just do our own Popeye. Again, Neil Adams. Nothing like hitting a baby in the head with kryptonite brass knuckles. And the comics, I'm pointing here, the Comics Code Authority's right up there in the corner. It's like, now you're allowed to punch a baby. Okay. I had this one when I was a little boy. This is the craziest thing ever. It's like a Kryptonian Triceratops with some sort of DVD recorder in its head. It's like TiVoing that it wants to eat a baby. So there's a picture of a baby being eaten on the cover of this comic book. And they also had Super Baby, who spoke perfect English, except he had a real problem with personal pronouns. And so he's a funny animal. Its head looked like TV screen. Him thinking, him went to eat me, but me not afraid, me play with him. He apparently was somehow related to the Bizarros, so that kind of stuff. And of course, Collie's Krypto's super sweetheart. That story is actually weirder than this cover. Krypto gets somehow exposed to kryptonite, and he meets this dog who is apparently created from red kryptonite, and they have puppies. In the story, they actually mate, have puppies, and then at the end, the red kryptonite wears off, and all the Collie and the kryptonite puppies disappear, and Krypto's thinking, oh, that's a shame, but they sure were cute. At least I finally got laid. Here again, and this is a fairly old one, but the poorest family in Smallville. That was another thing that apparently Nort's little focus groups wanted to see, was what if Ma and Pa Kent were destitute. This one killed me as a kid. Put on your Martha Kent mask, quick. Superboy's about to awaken. He mustn't suspect that we are not his parents, but aliens from another world. Well, so is he, folks. Even at 8 years old, I knew that. It's like, what's the big deal? Of course he's an alien. They had a thing called the Legion of Superheroes, and they were all these lame characters, like called Lightning Lad. And as a boy, I thought no teenage superhero in the world would name himself Lad or Lass. Oh, anyway, here they decided to expand. Now they have the Legion of Super Pets, and they're trying to do the initiation rites for a piece of protoplasm who can turn himself into Superboy, because the editor said, if you don't have Superboy on the cover, you're fired. So he came up with a way to get him there. Oh yes. Here's a little taste of midnight at Comic Fest. The biggest penis image I've ever seen on any comic book cover. In fact, you can see I got Bob Oxner there to autograph this for me. The poor man had only been to one convention, ever. He drew Bob Hope comics, he drew Jerry Lewis comics. When they stopped publishing the good stuff, they forced him to draw superheroes. But he saw me coming toward him with this in my hand, and the poor bastard started backing up, and he's babbling. He said, that was Joe Orlando's idea. I hadn't said a thing. And Joe Orlando was this cartoonist who used to work for Mad, and they made him into their cover editor for a while. And at the time, he would walk around the DC offices blurting out, sex sells, put as much sex on your covers. And this was the result. And I think that little wisp of smoke coming out of the cannon was kind of the ultimate over-the-top thing there.